I am so tired of coming on this podcast every single week and telling you to stop playing T.Y. Hilton. Like, just stop it.
Mikey needs help.
Mikey needs help.
I was like, if you don't have Jeff Wilson in here, and if you don't run it on first down, I'm gonna strangle you through that TV.
You should know better than everyone else. That fool tears you up when you plays you.
Yeah, but
Don't you want him on your team?
I have him at number 25.
Thank you. Fine. Todd's the reasonable one on this show.
I take issue with everything he said there.
Well,
I really do.
DeAndre Swift. He's gonna break them tackles, son.
That's bold. That's bold. That's putting your nuts on the table right there.
Hey, there's the first time for everything.
Waxing poetic over here with Todd Diamond.
Dude's old.
So what? He's not as old as Brady, and you're jerking him off before the show starts.
I have Sutton in my top 10. I have him at number 9. Yes.
You know what? I'm just canceling the league. I can't do this with you guys. Hello, MHA owners. Glad to be back with you here on the MHA podcast. The draft only a few days away, and it would behoove you to check this podcast out as we're going to give you some last-second feelers on some guys. Some situations have changed since cuts and starting lineup changes and all that fun stuff, so you'll want to check that out. We'll also play some Who Would You Rather, give you a couple guys, and we'll see what the experts here have to say as we go into the last few days here. And always fun, bold predictions. Todd Diamond. You just never know what you're going to get with Todd Diamond bold predictions. So I'm just super excited and scared to hear what Todd has to say.
Yeah, I know it's gonna be. You gotta put your seatbelt on. It might be a bumpy ride, you know.
Might be. I don't know. I think it will be.
It will be.
Mikey, you ready for this show?
I'm ready for this show.
I think there's a lot of cool stuff that we're going to go through, and we have a lot of names. So if there's guys, I tried to put some guys out there we haven't talked much about, and we're not going to talk too much about it because we have a lot to get to on the show. So let's just get right into the news.
To me, the most amazing thing about the news is that whatever goes on in the world, it exactly fits the number of pages that they're using in the paper that day. Interesting concept.
And first, we'll talk about the release of Cam Newton. A little surprising, I think. I think a lot of us figured Cam Newton would at least hold on to the starting job for a few weeks, maybe a month or so before Mac Jones comes in. But no, they decided, Bill Belichick and that group decided they were going to release Cam Newton and name Mac Jones, the rookie quarterback, as the starter. So I'll start with Mikey. What does this news mean to you? Does this make you a little more excited for that Patriots offense with Cam Newton out of the way, or are you a little more hesitant now that there's someone not proven in the quarterback position?
I think what it does is I think you have to raise guys like James White and Damian Harris in your rankings. Without Cam and without him taking a big chunk of those red zone opportunities, it creates touchdown upside for those two. And I think it also helps the two tight ends. You know, I was completely off Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry coming in just because of Cam Newton. And now that Mac Jones is in there, it makes them viable again.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then you talk about the receivers, and I'm just looking at the depth chart on ESPN.com. Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar are your starting 3 wide receivers. Todd, does it raise up those guys in the rankings for you?
Absolutely, all of them. I mean, I was high on Jonnu Smith anyway, regardless, because I think he had maybe, something to prove, and he had a lot of opportunity, in Tennessee, because obviously Delaney Walker was always hurt. So, I was high on him already, and I do agree with Mikey with the fact that this helps Damian Harris, who I'm high on, and it raises James White's stock as well too. So, this maybe is kind of a perfect storm for a lot of these, Patriots, offensive players that Mac Jones is going to be the starter. That helps their stock, a lot more than it would Cam Newton.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of goal line carries to be had now. I don't think they're going to throw their rookie quarterback into the fire and into that goal line mess of men that are trying to kill each other. So, yeah, it's interesting how Damian Harris all of a sudden will shoot up rankings here, and we'll see if Aguilar or any of those wide receivers can come through. And just a note for Todd, I don't know if he saw, but if you're looking over on the depth chart, it actually has Jonnu Smith as the backup tight end behind Hunter Henry. Now that might be just for whatever purposes. Hunter Henry's still dealing with an injury, but just keep an eye on that, Todd, since that's your boy. More news here, more terrible. Well, I guess this is terrible. I don't know if people thought Cam Newton's release was terrible, but man, we lose another starting running back, maybe a top 15 running back, and J.K. Dobbins out for the season. And the Ravens running back situation, not as good as it once was. Gus Edwards takes over the starting job. Todd, are you high on Gus Edwards at all?
To be honest with you, I wasn't really a fan of the Ravens backfield to begin with anyway, because of Lamar Jackson and what he can do, and his running ability. So, to be honest with you, I wasn't really high regardless. So this J.K. Dobbins injury doesn't really affect me in what I was going to draft anyway. I wasn't gonna go near that backfield. So I mean, it helps Gus Edwards because he's probably going to be he's going to be now the next back in line next to Mate, and then obviously Ingram's the next. Obviously, then is the next running back. But I don't want anything to do with that backfield.
All right, so we'll just keep going here. All right, so Mikey. So J.K. Dobbins, a guy that was a threat to maybe score double-digit touchdowns. Maybe all those go to Lamar Jackson now. Does that raise his price, or I guess his draft stock for you?
No, yeah, I didn't really think of it from the Lamar Jackson angle. I do disagree with Todd that, I mean, he's off the Baltimore guys, but their run rate is higher than anyone else in the league. And I don't really know if that's going to change. Edwards was kind of more of a goal line back anyway, so there's some definite value to him. I did see in the concerning part that John Harbaugh said that they're planning on using a committee going forward. So
Justice Hill, y'all.
Justice Hill, Tyson Williams, to go along with the Gus bus.
Interesting.
I don't know. Like, I've been listening to some different things and people saying that, Edwards should be like around a 5th or a 6th round pick.
Whoa. No.
Running backs, as Todd says, are not a dime a dozen. So
but, 5th round though. Oh, that's
you don't know what you're going to be looking at when it comes to those rounds.
Yeah, for sure. And you look over Gus Edwards in his career, he's played 16 games over the last 2 years. So like the full 16 games in 2020, 2019, 700 yards each time, 5.3 yards per carry. Doesn't catch a lot of balls, but had 6 touchdowns last year. So they're going to run the ball. And starting running backs disappear quickly. So I agree. And I think Lamar Jackson, if you're ever concerned that he was going to stop or slow down his running capabilities, getting into that end zone, I don't think you have to worry too much about it now with Dobbins out of the picture. But yeah, a lot more. That is always tough to see. We've already lost Cam Akers as well. So if we were worried about the depth of running back, it's just getting worse. Let's roll through these next through pretty quickly. Michael Thomas on the PUP list. No surprise really there. Just means he's out for the first 6 weeks of the season. Just give me a yes or no. Do you guys any interest in Traquan Smith or Marquez Callaway?
Callaway for me, yes. Traquan Smith's been banged up so far in this preseason, so I don't know that he's going to be 100% healthy going in, but Callaway's actually looked really good with Jameis Winston so far. So I think, yeah, he's worth being drafted.
Some bad news for Todd. He was on the Irv Smith Jr. train for Minnesota. They're tight end, but he might miss some time. I haven't seen anything about how long, but they made a trade and picked up Chris Herndon from the Jets, a guy that came in with some a little bit of hype, but really hasn't lived up to it. And so for those interested in Chris Herndon as the Vikings tight end, you may have to rethink your fantasy ideology, Mike.
Well, especially because, Adam Schefter tweeted this earlier that Irv Smith is probably out for the season. So
okay. Well, yeah, see, I didn't get to see that. I knew it was going to be a while. So Chris Herndon it is. You might want to stick to the wide receivers over there.
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Oh, gross.
Todd always talks about his 10-foot pole.
I know.
Keep it to yourself.
But here's the thing.
I want to see that at the draft. You hear me? Hebrew Hammer.
But with Herndon, he didn't do anything in New York. But the Jets are a dumpster fire, so couldn't be too too surprised. But yeah, I wouldn't even draft him as maybe if he was waiver wire pickup, maybe a bye week option, maybe if it's a better offense, maybe. But yeah, I'm not drafting him. So
That's why I didn't ask you if you wanted to draft him, but you just wanted to tell me that anyway, huh?
Sure did. Give them what they want.
No, that's not what they want. All right, let's get into some MHA trivia.
If my answers frighten you, Vincent, then you should cease asking scary questions. I'm gonna take it.
And we'll go through these pretty quick. So, running back duos that both running backs reached 1,000 yards rushing. It's happened 3 times amongst 2 running backs, and I also found that there was a quarterback and a running back that both rushed for 1,000 yards. So, Todd, I'll let you go first this time. Name me one of those running back duos or one of the 2 quarterback running back duos that both rushed for 1,000 yards.
I'll say Lamar Jackson and was it J.K. Dobbins?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's incorrect. Mikey, you want to give me one of those?
I think so. I heard this stat like months ago on the radio, and so I know one of them's a Bronco duo. I believe I think it was Tatum Bell and Mike Anderson, maybe.
I don't think so. That wasn't one of the guys I had listed. Maybe we can check that out later, but no Broncos on this list. You guys are doing terrible at this one. Back to you, Todd.
Okay.
Running back duo. I'll give you a year.
Okay.
And maybe that'll help you.
All right.
So there is one from 2009.
Oh, Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara?
No, that is incorrect. Mikey, there's also one from 2008. But this one was super surprising. I didn't really even realize this.
Well, I'm trying to remember because I know one of them was the Giants too. I thought it was like Brandon Jacobs and somebody else. But
who is that other guy?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the surprising part of it.
Oh, Ahmad Bradshaw?
No, see, that's what I would have thought, but that's not who they had on here. All right, guys, you guys are just stinking at this game. So whoever could get it, just throw out another chance. There was one in 1985. One of the quarterback and running back duos took place in 2006, and one happened in 2019.
So he said 1985.
Yes.
Ooh, I want to take a stab at the quarterback.
Go for it.
So I'll say Michael Vick and Warwick Dunn.
Correct. Well done, Mikey. 2006. Michael Vick and Warwick Dunn both ran for 1,000 yards that season. Who's next?
All right, let me see the 85 one. That hard to be.
There's an obvious one. I'm surprised this wasn't the first one that was.
Isn't Randall
guessed.
Randall Cunningham and
No.
No, okay. No, Steve Young and no.
Well, I hold on. I remember them mentioning something on what was it? They were talking about running backs on one of those top 10 shows on NFL Network.
Okay.
They were talking about Kevin Mack and Ernest Biner for the Browns.
Ding ding. Well done. 1985.
Ernest Biner?
You don't know about Ernest Biner?
I know Ernest Biner, but I didn't rush for 1,000.
So Mikey's got 2 points right now.
All right.
Right now he's winning. I'm going to give you guys one guess each to continue this game. If not, then Mikey wins the game. So Todd, you have a chance here to tie.
Okay.
Or not tie, but to get 1 point, excuse me.
You said the other one was 2019?
Yes. And
Okay.
that is one of the quarterback.
Okay. Oh. Patrick Mahomes and Damian
No, I'm
Miller.
sorry, that's incorrect. Nope, sorry. No Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes.
I don't think he's even been close to 1,000 yards. Mikey, I'll give you one last guess, so just to make it a big rout on Todd this evening. You have another guess?
Well, you said 2019?
Yeah.
Well, that has to be Lamar Jackson.
Okay. But who was the running back?
Trying to think of who the Ravens had. They 2019, huh?
I thought this game would go way quicker.
Hey, this is hard.
But I had the
okay?
answers in front of me, so I can't judge anyone right now.
Well, the only guy that I could think that they had was Mark Ingram.
Hey, there you go. Good job. Mar Jackson and Mark Ingram in
I just
2019.
remembered he always sucked with the Ravens.
Well, I guess the first year he was there, he came in and did a good job. Okay, so here are the total list here. 2009, Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. I thought for sure you guys would get that one. I feel like that was the one stood out above everyone else. The 2008 was the Giants. It was Brandon Jacobs and Derek Ward. How about that one?
I should get half credit for that.
You already won. You don't need 3.5 points. Mikey got the Ernest Biner, Kevin Mack. And the other running back duo is Michael Vick and Warwick Dunn. No, you got that one, right?
Yeah, I got that.
You got that one. And Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram. So good job. So the reason why I looked these guys up is because this is going to lead to my bold prediction. And we're going to talk about bold predictions later on in the show, but I thought it was a good segue. So bold prediction for me, and you guys can tell me if it's bold or not. But, in the vein of running back duos reaching 1,000 yards, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, I say, will both rush for 1,000 yards, and they'll both score 10 touchdowns. Now, while that's important, is because out of those three running back duos, neither of the three had 20 touchdowns among them. So I'm going to predict that they get 1,000 yards and both gets 10 touchdowns. Is that crazy or what?
No.
It's not crazy?
No.
It's not bold enough? It's never been done before.
I mean, it's bold, but it could happen. It could happen. Could happen. It's not.
I mean, bold is not like never going to happen.
No.
It's a long shot, right?
I don't think it's a total long shot, but it's still bold. It's still bold.
Right.
I'll give you that.
It's all right. Okay, let's keep moving along in the show. I'm going to ask you guys, how you feeling? And that's how I'm going to try to say it each time. And I'm going to, throw out some names that either their situations have changed or maybe they're coming back from injuries or whatever the case, or maybe guys we haven't talked about yet. So the first guy I had on the list for you guys was Carson Wentz. Now, he was dealing with an injury. Seemed like he was going to be out for a while, even into the regular season. Looked like he was well on his way back, kind of overachieving, coming off the injury quicker than most people thought. And then he gets COVID, so there's that. But let me ask you guys this. If we feel Carson Wentz is close to 100% and he's starting on day one, I know Mikey's kind of high on him. How are we feeling about Carson Wentz, Todd?
I'm not very high on Carson Wentz. It's just because it really is the injury factor for me. It really is. I mean, the talent's there. He's proven he can do it, but he just has to stay healthy. Now, does he have a better offensive line behind him? Absolutely, but it's just the injury factor for me, and that I'm not willing to take that risk, regardless of. I mean, prove me wrong, but I'm just not on the Carson Wentz train. The injury just scares me, and I'm not willing to take that risk. On him to be my starting quarterback.
I don't know if he's gonna be a starting quarterback. I don't know if Mikey's the high one on him, and I don't know if he had him as a starting quarterback. But Mikey, how you feel about Carson Wentz these days?
And I wouldn't say I was high. I had him like 14th, I think.
Well, I think it's well higher than the rest of us.
I'm not feeling so good, and here's why. The continuity is a really big thing, especially when you're going to a brand new team. And the Colts have just been a disaster so far in training camp and the preseason. Wentz has been in and out with injuries. He was on the COVID list. Different pieces of their offensive line have been in and out with injuries and COVID. So, T.Y. Hilton, he's listed as a starter. And as much as I hate him, he's out now. That's not going to help him. If you take a look at what their schedule is to open the season, it's pretty brutal. They start off with the Seahawks and the Rams, and then they have 3 straight road games at the Titans, at the Dolphins, and at the Ravens. So,
Yikes.
Yeah, it doesn't get easy for a team that hasn't been together cohesively here to start. So I just think they're going to start really slow.
Yeah, you want those hard games later if you're still trying to figure out the chemistry of your team. You don't want those early because that could really shake you up for sure. All right, keep going here. Dak Prescott. I don't know if you guys seen the latest edition of Hard Knocks, but he was out there throwing a lot more. Not much on a pitch count from what I can tell. He was joking around. They said he was back. And so how are we feeling about Dak Prescott going into the draft this weekend, Mikey? Still number one on your list?
He's not actually, but that I'm not going to. I
Oh,
am not going to tell you who is taking over
Oh, that's
the
not.
new number one spot. That's for me and my draft board for Sunday.
Come on, Mikey. You could tell us. No one's listening.
Come on. We're not going to go. I'm not going to put it on Twitter, okay? Come on. Come on. Look, just kidding.
Let's just say, these rankings can change. You do more research and you start evaluating things a little bit more. I'm not like overly concerned about Dak. I mean, obviously the injury was to his arm, and that's not very helpful, but they seem to think he's going to be okay for week 1. He still has all these weapons, to go. This defense, you won't really know if it's any better until you see it. So, I mean, I still think it's going to be bad. So, I mean, I think the volume's still going to be there for him. I'm not overly concerned. I just wanted to throw that out there that he's not number one on my list anymore.
Ooh, I like it. He's trying to shake us up. That's what he's trying to get in. He's playing mind games with us. I like it.
Yeah.
Todd, what do you think about how are you feeling about Jameis Winston? He's been named the starter. Kamara's still there. Michael Thomas not going to be there for the first 6 weeks of the season. I mean, he's for a quarterback, he's low down there, but I mean, he's got the ability to throw for 5,000 yards. He's got those in his pocket from his days in Tampa. How are we feeling about Winston?
I'm starting to, I Winston pretty low in my rankings, but I'm feeling pretty good about Winston right now coming into this season because he's going into a better situation where he has a coach that that's obviously won a Super Bowl. Helps the plays. He's playing gonna play in a dome. I mean, obviously it's kind of changing now because of the hurricane. Because obviously they're not going to be playing in New Orleans in Week 1. But I think that I think the situation that he's in now, I think is going to be a little bit better. I think it's going to help him. Because he's going to have he has a good supporting cast around him. I mean, it doesn't help not having Michael Thomas, but I think the fact of the matter is I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. And I've kind of moved him up a little bit in my rankings, and because I've seen what I've seen in preseason and everything like that, and how he's kind of, in the offseason is he's kind of pushed the reset button a little bit, on his career. And I think too, the biggest thing too is I think the fact that he sat behind, and learned from Drew Brees, I think that really helped him. In that sense. So Jameis Winston, kind of moving up a little bit in my rankings, and I think he's, I'm not saying I'm going to go as far as to say, candidate for comeback player of the year kind of thing, but I think he might surprise a little people. So I'm starting to come around on Jameis Winston a little bit more.
Nah.
All right, Todd, bringing up Mikey. Was that a meh? Like you don't care about him? Is that what that was?
Or was that,
No,
was that
I
a
just-
meh,
just-
or what I said?
I feel the exact opposite way about him.
Well, of course you do.
Go ahead.
Look,
Okay.
I believe he's going to be a more mature quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not going to be Jameis in Tampa where the volume's going to be the same. They've got a decent enough running game to stop that. But the bigger thing is I can't take a chance on a quarterback that is going to be taken off the field on third downs or in the red zone when they bring in Taysom Hill. Like he's losing snaps. He is the starter, but they're going to run different packages for Taysom Hill. So, yeah, I don't want him.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. He might be limited to the first 2 downs, or in situations where they want to get crazy with it and throw some trick plays in there, and he lines up his wide receiver, and Tyson Hill comes in and then runs the ball with it or maybe even throw it. So, yeah, that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And I'm sure they didn't show their hand during the preseason. So, we don't know what those players are going to look like. So, that's definitely a good point by Miguel. I'm going to fast forward through some of these guys. We have a lot of names here, but I want to get to some guys we definitely haven't talked to. How about Adam Thielen? We've talked a lot about Justin Jefferson. We talked about Kirk Cousins. Adam Thielen, man, I think it was 14 touchdowns last year. Mikey, can he do it again? How are we feeling about him and that Minnesota offense?
You can't expect 14 touchdowns from him again. That's a little much. I do believe people are down on him, though, a little bit, and I can't seem to figure out why. He's pretty consistent when it comes to, just being that guy that constantly gets statistics. And so, I like him. I just don't think he's going to get to 14 touchdowns.
Because I think everybody's enamored, obviously, of what Justin Jefferson did last year. So they're gonna want to they're gonna spread it around a little bit more. I mean, obviously Justin Jefferson had a great rookie season, no doubt about that. But now I think they kind of want to balance stuff out. So I kind of agree with you there, Mikey. That I don't know if 14 touchdowns are going to happen again, because some of those are obviously going to go to Justin Jefferson because they want to spread the ball around and everything like that. So kind of agree with you on that point.
I think last year he had 14 touchdowns on 74 receptions. That's not going to happen again unless he's going to put that reception. Now he's had decent reception totals in his career. He had 91 in 2017, 113 in 2018, and just played in 10 games 2 years ago. But he's got incredible upside in an offense that, they obviously Cook's the first option, and then Justin Jefferson. We'll see how he does in his sophomore year. They call it a sophomore slump for a reason. And now a tight end that they bring in that really hasn't shown anything. So he's kind of, I'm looking at Fantasy Pros right now, and they've got him ranked 23rd behind guys like Julio Jones and T. Higgins. I think he should shoot up quite a bit over those guys. So, Adam Thielen, a guy that I remember facing. I think Dylan had him last year, and that guy could put up 2 touchdowns in a hurry. So keep an eye on him on your drafts. Another guy, let's talk about Robbie Anderson, a guy that had, I think, 92 receptions. Didn't score a lot of touchdowns in that offense. Todd, how are we feeling about him these days?
Well, obviously Robbie Anderson, coming from New York to Carolina, I think the situation is going to be maybe a little bit better for him going into the season, because with Sam Darnold, again, not saying Sam Darnold's, top 10 or top 5 quarterback or even 50 or whatever the case may be, but I think again, it's all gonna depend on the situation of how Christian McCaffrey is, because when Christian McCaffrey is on the field, that opens the offense up so much. It doesn't matter whether it's Robbie Anderson or DJ Moore. And obviously Robbie Anderson's more of the deep threat wide receiver compared to DJ Moore. So with Robbie Anderson, it's going to be, I don't want to say hit or miss with him, or all or nothing, but Robbie Anderson is definitely a wide receiver I would look at in the later rounds as well. So I think he was decent enough with crappy quarterbacks anyway. So I think this helps it a little bit, but I'm not as high. I'm not drafting Robbie Anderson, in the first 8 or 9 rounds by any means.
So
Well,
I gotta call Todd out on this.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, tell him, Miguel.
So okay.
All
So
right.
first of all,
Yes,
Robbie Anderson wasn't the deep threat.
Correct.
He had averaged 11.5 yards per catch, which was easily the lowest of his career.
mm-hmm.
DJ Moore was averaging 18.1,
Mm-hmm.
which, so you're talking about a difference of 7 yards. DJ Moore is the deep threat, and I think that's part of the problem. Like, Robbie Anderson was the deep threat in New York.
Mm-hmm.
He moved to Carolina and all of a sudden started running short routes.
Mm.
So his receptions skyrocketed, but his yards were way down. He only had 3 touchdowns. I think at least in my opinion, I think that Christian McCaffrey actually hurts Robbie Anderson in a way,
Exactly. Yep.
because when you're talking about what happened last year, I think Anderson got a lot of that short volume because McCaffrey was injured.
Hmm.
Now that he's back, McCaffrey gets that volume and it eats into it. So I think Anderson is not going to have the type of receiving numbers that he had last year, at least as far as targets and receptions.
Yep, totally agree. I totally agree. I was just going to say, yeah, Christian McCaffrey, he's going to get those catches that are going to be within 5 to 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. And Robbie Anderson, unless they change his role, I don't think he's someone you can't draft in the first 8 or 9 rounds. I feel like he is the number one guy. Well, I guess DJ Moore, if you want the upside, if you want the touchdowns, I feel like he is going to be more in that. But I think Robbie Anderson could be a decent PPR guy. I don't know. I'm just not high on him. I mean, he had 96 targets 2 years ago, 94 before that. I think that's where it's going to come down to. I just think the 136 targets and those 95 receptions is going to come down significantly. And we obviously don't know how Sam Darnold's going to come in to this situation. It's I don't think it's someone you should ignore, but I think his fantasy value is probably too high. He's going around where Jerry Jeudy is, where Jamar Chase, Juju, and that might be a little high. All right, well, we're going to do one more of these, how we feeling, and we're going to talk about Brandon Cooks. And so good old Houston offense. I know we're all super excited to take a look at that offense, but we got to talk about these guys a little bit. Brandon Cooks, the last couple of years, if you talk about his last, 5 of 6 years, he's been averaging about 115 targets per season. And of course, he's been all over the place. And so now with I believe is it Tyrod Taylor who's now the quarterback over there, and he's the number one guy, so he's gonna get drafted. But how are we feeling about Brandon Cooks going into the draft, Miguel?
I don't really like him at all, to be honest. I think Tyrod Taylor, it's a huge downgrade from Deshaun Watson. The one thing in their favor is obvious they're going to be down by a ton of points in games, but Taylor's a guy that's not a big go deep guy. I mean, his average completion's right around, 11, 12 yards. And Cooks is a guy that's more of a down the field guy. I mean, you take a look at his career average, he's right around 14, 15 yards, per catch. I just don't see that working very well. He's a guy that week to week you can't really rely on. He has his big games here and there, but he just doesn't do it for me.
Todd, do you want to say anything about Brandon Cooks?
Not really.
Sure. He's going on Fantasy Pros around 34th, where Deebo Samuel, Cortland Sutton. The upside is definitely not there. He's probably a fill-in guy against a defense that gives. If he's playing Dallas, maybe you take a look at him, or if they change their situation from Tyrod Taylor to I forget who the rookie is over there.
David Mills.
Thank you very much. Davis Mills.
Davis Mills.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, maybe more of like a fill-in guy. But, I mean, if it was Deshaun Watson, I think he would be relevant at this point. But with that tough situation, the whole situation in Houston's kind of a dumpster fire, and probably best if avoided. Okay, let's go. We're going to go into the who would you rather have. So I'm going to name a couple of guys. Don't go too long on these. We still have a lot to come up on the show, so make it a little bit quick. So we'll start off with Todd. Who would you rather have if you were drafting at this point, and both these names came up? Who are you drafting? Is it Saquon Barkley or Jonathan Taylor?
Ugh. Any year you say it would be Saquon, but Jonathan Taylor. I just like the fact the offensive line is better in Indianapolis than it is in New York. Even though Saquon, is the better back, but again, injury. That's the biggest thing, is the injury part. It's the scary part of it. If he's going to be your number one,
Taylor hurt last year. Taylor missed some time last year.
But he wasn't out for the whole season. And with Saquon, it's just, I mean, if he's going to be your number one guy, you're going to have to draft his backup somewhere, because it's just the fear of it. Hope is a strong word, but you hope that the injuries is behind him. with him. But Jonathan Taylor.
Mikey, give me a name. Saquon Barkley or Taylor, who you drafted before first?
I'm taking Barkley, and just real quick, it's just
Yeah.
because if I look at where the volume can come from in a PPR league, like Saquon's shown that he can get you like 80 to 90 receptions, and he's a 3-down back, whereas Hines is going to be 3rd down back in Indy.
If Barkley gets 60 receptions, I'm taking him over Jonathan Taylor. All right, Mikey, who'd you rather have, Trey Sermon or Michael Carter? A couple of rookies out there.
I'm going to go with Sermon. I was one that really liked Sermon at the beginning. I think they're going to find a role for him in San Francisco. They tend to use their running backs in different ways, and Raheem Mostert hasn't shown that he's been able to stay healthy, so I'll go with Sermon.
Todd, quickly, Sermon or Carter?
Carter.
Okay. All right, Todd, back to you here. Who would you rather have, Leonard Fournette or Ronald Jones II? Couple of guys that gave fantasy owners fits last year. They're drafted relatively close to one another, just according to Fantasy Pros. So if both those guys are there for you at the draft and you have to decide between these two, who are you taking?
I'd probably take Leonard Fournette. Just because, I mean, I know Ronald Jones he's the more pass catching running back, but I'll just go with Leonard Fournette because I was kind of just basing it off of who does Tom Brady like that week? Because if you mess up, Tom Brady just doesn't throw you the ball anymore. So I'll go with Leonard Fournette.
Mikey, real quickly, out of those two, who would you prefer?
Out of those two, I'll take Ronald Jones. Gio Bernard clouds that picture, though.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Mikey, a couple more rookies, Kenneth Gainwell or Ramondre Stevenson from New England?
I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson. He was a beast in the preseason. I don't think it'll happen right away, but, I mean, Gainwell's got Sanders and also Boston Scott blocking him.
Yeah, it might be tough to get into that situation minus an injury. Todd, we had this conversation last year, but how about Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods?
Oh, it's all Robert Woods all day long, all day. I even though Cooper Kupp gets probably more of the receptions, but Robert Woods is starting to be that all around type wide receiver, because they go inside, outside, they going through the backfield. It's Robert Woods all day long. Not even close.
Is it not even close, Miguel?
Mikey's gonna say, no, of course it's close.
It is close. I mean, give me a break. Give me a
give
break.
Give you a break. Give me a break. Jeez.
Just the prior year, Cooper Kupp was way over Robert Woods, and then it swapped this year. Like, they're pretty even to me. There's no reason why it can't go either way.
Yeah, that's a tough decision, honestly. I'd almost want to pick Cooper Kupp just for the upside. All right, continuing on. Go ahead.
I can't believe he said not close.
He just, you know how he is with his guys. He loves his guys. All right, Mikey, out of these two, would you rather have Julio Jones or Adam Thielen? Because they're both, Fantasy Pros has them right next to each other.
Well, this is one where I like Julio Jones this year, so
I know
this is a not close. Yeah, this is a not close one for me. I'm taking Julio Jones.
Oh my God!
You're gonna like my bold prediction later, then, Mikey.
Yeah,
Todd.
You're gonna like mine too.
Oh, I can't. God. This is gonna be so much fun. All right, Todd. Out of Julio Jones and Adam Thielen, who would you rather have?
I would actually go with Adam Thielen. Go with Adam Thielen on this one, just because again, with Julio Jones, it's a little bit of the injury factor too, but. Hopefully
Todd is off the injury boat.
It is. It really. Come on now. We saw last year. Was it week 2 or week 3? We saw what happened in the NFL. It was Black Sunday, and that shit just went nuts. Okay, there was injuries left and right. It was just crazy. I thought they were gonna at that point they were gonna ask fans to come out on the field and fill in. No. No, no.
All right, all
All right.
right. Julio Jones, just for the record, he missed
All right.
games last year, but before that, 15 games, 16, 16, 14, 16. He's been relatively healthy in his career.
Sleep on him if you want.
I found this one interesting as I was going through my rankings. Mike, you would rather have Devonta Smith or Jarvis Landry?
This one was tough, but I'm gonna actually go with Devonta Smith. Like, I think they're at the point where this is gonna be like round, 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. And I just think we know what Jarvis Landry is, so you would reach for the potential upside.
Todd, do you want to say anything about it? Devonta Smith or Jarvis Landry?
I'd go with Landry. I'm not really. I don't know. I'm just not really too high on Devontae Smith. I mean, obviously, what he did in college. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But I'd go with Landry. I'd go with Landry on that one if I was the choice.
Just a quick note on Jarvis Landry. He's had 100 or more targets in every year of his career and had 840 yards last year, had over 1,000 2 years ago. So just something to keep an eye on. Now, this one was an interesting. I was trying to find the best name to go with this because I was trying to be clever. You guys obviously have the names in front of you, but I was trying to figure out who would be the best name. I don't know if this is the best name, but this is one I came up with. So, Todd, who would you rather have, Tevin Coleman or the top defense? So if we're saying it's the Rams, I don't know who the top defense is. It's
Okay.
whoever, in your opinion, is the top defense.
Okay.
But who would you rather have? One of the last starting running backs, or is it the top defense in our league?
As much as I always say the running backs, you got to. It's good to have more. I would go with the top defense. Coleman, no, I've seen that. I've experienced that show already. That's no more. I'll go with the top defense. Thank you very much.
What do you think, Miguel? Is it fill out that? And I know you're not a big Tevin Coleman guy, but it's about running back depth more than anything, even if it's not Tevin Coleman the name, but like in terms of running back depth or getting that top defense. Because we've seen owners in our league, they'll go in the 14th round, 13th round and pick up the top defense.
Yeah, sometimes before that. So here's my thing. I try and never ever draft a defense before round 16. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to go Tevin Coleman just for that. Like, you never know what happens. Like, you have injuries and things go wrong, and yeah, he's not like my favorite guy, but he's a starter right now, and you never know, you might have to use him. So that's more valuable than what you think is the top defense. Last year, everybody thought it was San Francisco, and then they were not very good. So yeah, you go with the
Preach
running
it,
back.
Miguel. Preach it. Good job. I'm glad you answered that correctly. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So I'm going to throw some rapid fire questions at you guys, and it's yes or no. I mean, I guess there could be conversations. We have about 17 minutes left on the show, but try not to go too long on these, and we'll try it rapid fire style. But if you have to say something, say something. All right. You guys ready for this?
Yep.
And I'll make the name, and then the person just, so if I say, Mikey gives it to me, and then Todd just right after that. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So who has more passing touchdowns? Is it Patrick Mahomes or Dak Prescott? Mikey?
Patrick Mahomes.
Todd?
Patrick Mahomes.
All right. Who? I guess I'll get in on this as well. And I said Dak Prescott. Who has more rushing touchdowns, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson?
Lamar Jackson.
I'll go with Josh
That's
Allen.
someone's name. Go ahead. Perfect.
I'll say
I'm
Josh
Allen. Talk about Gus Edwards leaving, J.K. Dobbins leaving. Lamar Jackson, I'm going to put that on for me. All right. Aaron Rodgers had 48 passing touchdowns last year. I'm going to put the over-under at 44. Mikey, over-under 44 passing touchdowns this year.
Under.
Okay. Todd?
I'll go under.
All right. I'm going to say under as well. All right. Number 4, over-under on 30 passing touchdowns for Justin Herbert. Todd?
Over.
Mikey?
Oh, man. I'll go over.
Yeah, this was a tough one for me too, and I also said over. Ryan Tannehill had 7 rushing touchdowns in 2020. Mikey, over-under is at 5.
I'm going to go under.
Todd?
I'll go over.
Oh my goodness, yeah, good. There's a bold prediction, but yeah, I also said under. Seven's a hard number to reach, but he does have previous seasons where I think he had 4 2 years ago. All right, Todd, which veteran quarterback ends up with more fantasy points? Matt Stafford, Matt Ryan, or Big Ben?
Matt
More
Ryan.
fantasy points. Matt Ryan, Mikey.
I'll go Stafford.
I'm also gonna go Stafford. Which second-year quarterback ends up with more fantasy points? Burrow, Tua, or Jalen Hurts, Mikey?
I'll go Burrow.
Todd?
Burrow.
Clean sweep, Burrow. All right, number 8. Will each of Tampa Bay's receiving core, which includes Evans, Godwin, and Brown, will they all have 10 or more touchdowns? So will each of them have 10 or more touchdowns? Mikey?
No.
Todd?
I'll say yes.
I said no. That's an interesting one to talk about, but that's a tough number to reach.
That's only happened like 1 or 2 times. Like, that's hard.
Yeah, but a lot of people like Tom Brady, including yourself. And for you to say no, that may say something. All right, DK Metcalf had 10 touchdowns last year, over-under on receiving touchdowns at 12. Mikey?
Tough number, 12. Ooh, I want to call that a push.
Ooh, you going push? He's going right at 12?
Yeah,
I'm fine if you do. Todd?
I say over.
I'm going to say under. Let's talk about his teammate, Tyler Lockett. Over-under on 10 touchdowns for him, Todd.
Under.
Mikey?
I'll go over.
I'm going to go push. Another guy that had double-digit touchdowns in 2020, Chase Claypool. Over-under at 10. Mikey?
Under.
Todd?
Say over.
I will also say he goes under. Regression coming for Chase Claypool. Stephon Diggs, a guy that Todd's super high on, had 127 receptions. That's going to be a hard number to repeat. So I'll put his over-under number at 110 receptions. Mikey?
I still like the over on that.
Todd?
Over.
I'll also say over. Julio Jones. Will he reach 1,000 yards receiving this year, Todd?
No.
Mikey? Yes.
Oh, he's going to crush that number.
Crush that number. I also said that he's not going to reach 1,000 yards. I'm going to go ahead and say no. More fantasy points, Adam Thielen or Justin Jefferson, Mikey?
Ooh, I'll go Jefferson.
Todd?
Jefferson.
I'll go Adam Thielen. More fantasy points, Laviska Shenault, DJ Chark, Marvin Jones Jr. I know we talked about this before, but let's just, with the season coming at us in a few days, maybe you feel a little bit different, but out of those 3, who's going to have more fantasy points, Mikey?
I'll go with Jones just because of the touchdowns.
Todd?
I'll go with Shenault.
I also will go Marvin Jones. Actually like him a lot. All right, who leads the NFL in rushing this season, Todd? Derrick Henry or Dalvin Cook?
Dalvin Cook.
Ooh. Mikey?
Give me Derrick Henry.
Of course.
All right, I'm going to go Dalvin Cook. Which Texans running back will lead the way in fantasy points? We go from some great running backs to some bad running backs, but let's give the owners what they need to hear. Which Texans running back will lead the way in fantasy points? Mark Ingram, Phillip Lindsay, or David Johnson, Todd?
David Johnson.
Mikey?
I'll go Phillip Lindsay.
Ooh, I'll go Mark Ingram. Maybe that should be a board bet. Which second-year running back is likely to bust? Jonathan Taylor, Antonio Gibson, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Mikey?
I'm going to go with Antonio Gibson.
Todd?
I'll go with Gibson.
I'm going Helaire. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think I kind of mentioned that in the last show. Who's more likely to reach 1,000 yards rushing this year? Chase Edmonds or Damian Harris? Might be easy after our conversation earlier. Todd?
I'll go with Harris.
Mikey?
God, I want to say neither.
Well, you got to pick one. Who's more likely?
Oh,
You got to pick one of them. No push on this one.
I really think neither one of them gets there. Oh boy. More likely? I guess
More
I'll
likely.
give it to Harris.
I'll also say Harris. Mikey was such hesitancy.
Yeah,
All right, number
like
20. We got 6 left. Chris Carson has reached 9 touchdowns in the past 3 years. So he's done it 3 straight years where he's reached 9 touchdowns. Will he do it again, Miguel?
Yes.
Todd?
no.
course, I knew he was going to say no. I'll say yes as well. All right, here's some fun ones. Will Urban Meyer be fired after this season, Todd? Yes or no?
No.
You think he gets on for another year?
They have to. They have to. They have to. They have to at least see. They got to at least see it through a little bit. I mean, you know, you got the best quarterback. You know, maybe in a generation. You got to at least give him. You at least got to give him. You know, one more year. I mean, it just depends on. Again, it just depends on how bad the record is.
So rapid fire doesn't mean anything to you?
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. Mikey, what do you think? Urban Meyer, done after this season. Does this begin the done segment of Mikey Renault?
I'll say he's done, but it's not because he gets fired.
What does that mean? Does that mean you get another, like a big high-profile job in college?
No, it just means he resigns for some reason.
Oh, come on. That's a cop-out.
It's not. I think that's more. I think it's more likely.
No.
That's such a ridiculous. I hate that. You can't. That is a terrible. I hate you. You don't get credit for this one.
Hey, you said, is he out? That would make
I
him
said
out.
I was. Hey,
No,
my question
he's not-
was Urban Meyer. Will he be fired after this season? You're
No,
saying
then
no.
no.
He's gonna
Then no.
resign.
He won't be fired then. So I'll say no.
I hate you so much. Will the Broncos head coach be fired after this season, Mikey?
I'll
Give me
say
a
they will.
resign.
What? No, the Broncos will win enough where Vic Fangio will not be fired.
Okay, Todd.
He won't be fired.
Okay. My thought is Urban Meyer's done after this season. Vic Fangio done after this season. Will the
Dang.
Broncos regret not drafting Justin Fields, Todd?
We all know how my reaction is.
Well,
I
then
think
then say yes. Don't give me a think. I want you to say yes or no.
No, they won't. They won't.
Okay, Mikey.
They won't.
Mikey,
First of all, Todd's lying. He doesn't believe
he is
that.
lying.
I know.
I'll say no too, but yeah, Todd doesn't. Todd's not buying that. Come on.
I don't know. I'm gonna be crying. I'm gonna be crying like when Justin Fields is just tearing it up.
Todd's
Yeah.
in denial. That's what that
I
is.
am in denial. I'm in denial about a lot of things. So.
Broncos will regret it. Number
right.
24. 2 more left to go, guys.
Okay.
What will, and this is not a yes or no question, but just tell me what you think the Broncos' record is going to be this year, Mikey.
I believe they'll be 10-7.
Oh yeah, we got to incorporate the extra game. Good call, Miguel. I'm glad you went first. And Todd?
Yeah, I was gonna the same there. I think they're gonna at least get 10 wins.
6-11. That's my prediction.
Oh my God.
All right, last question on this rapid fire, and we'll get to some bold predictions.
Yeah.
Who will Allen draft with the first overall pick on Sunday? Todd.
Devontae Adams.
Mikey?
Santa Claus.
Ooh, I like that one. Brings your presents on Sunday, every Sunday. But no, really, who's your answer? Yeah, Santa Claus.
I'm gonna say he'll go with Christian McCaffrey.
I'm also going to say Devontae Adams. That's who I had typed on my sheet here. All right, let's get into some bold predictions. And we have about 7 minutes left on the show, so we'll get to as many as we can. So give me your boldest predictions first, and we'll start things off with Todd because I always like to hear what he has to say.
All right. Well, this one I think we've already heard, but I'll say it again. Jamar Chase will put up 1,500 yards receiving and 12 touchdowns as a rookie. Boom, boom, boom. There it is. There it is. There it is. I think that's what can I say?
So Mikey, is that super crazy? Is that
Well,
within the realm of possibility? Is that considered bold?
No, it's very bold because if he puts up those type of numbers,
Mm-hmm.
I would have to think that he would be a top 10 receiver.
I would agree with that. So is the question I mean, it's a bold prediction, so I don't want to say that. Yeah, well, maybe you should draft him as such, but it's a bold prediction. I want to throw that question on him, but I like it. He's sticking with it. He likes him, and we'll see if Todd actually gets him on draft day. Mikey, give me a bold prediction.
All right, so I've got Julio Jones finishing
Let's
as a
start
top.
this.
Yeah. I honestly think Julio goes back to being Julio. He finishes above AJ Brown for the Titans, and he finishes as a top 7 receiver.
Wow. Do you have any numbers, or it's just top 7?
No, it's just top 7.
All right, so that'll lead me into my bold prediction. Julio Jones won't finish as a top 40 wide receiver. He can't stay healthy. He's hurt now. He's dealing with a leg issue and hasn't practiced at all since the beginning of August. And he's going as a top 20 guy. And Tannehill's 33 touchdowns, his career high by far. And we know A.J. Brown's a better wide receiver outside the top 40. Don't like him. Hate him. So that's my thought. I don't know if that's bold, but one Julio Jones bold prediction going all over the place. Should we make this a board bet of some sort? Do we come in the middle? Like, how do we put together this board bet?
Yeah, so you've got him outside the top 40. So I think a fair place to put it would be, let's split the difference and say 15 on both sides. So he finishes somewhere in the top 25, I guess.
Okay, so so the idea is you get credit if he finishes inside the top 25. I get credit if he's outside the top 25.
Correct.
All right, let's do it. Let's put it on the board. You're good with it?
I'm good with it.
All right, Julio Jones on the board bet. All right, Todd, give me another bold prediction.
All right, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with another rookie surprise. Javonte Williams rushes for 1,000 yards and takes over the starting job for the Broncos this year.
All right, it's not super bold, but from what a lot of people are saying, I mean, a lot of people have Melvin Ingram ranked higher in draft day, but I don't hate it either. What do you think, Miguel?
Yeah, I think there's a way for that to happen. So not super bold, but I still like it.
Okay, Mikey, give me one. What you got?
All right, I've got Gus Edwards will not finish as the top running back for the Baltimore Ravens.
Ooh, I like
Tyson Williams will.
Interesting. You're just that down on Gus Edwards?
I just think it's a good opportunity to take a stab at somebody in that. Like, Gus Edwards hasn't proven to be that guy. So I don't know. I just felt like it was a good opportunity to take a chance on something.
Tyson Williams, a rookie from BYU. So interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. That's a good one. That's definitely outside the box. Here's a Bronco one.
Mm-hmm.
The combination of Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton won't record 10 receiving touchdowns between the both of them.
Ooh.
Teddy Bridgewater in 15 games threw 15 touchdowns, and he had a good receiving core in Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, and DJ Moore. I don't know why they think he's going to come in and throw up 30 touchdowns, 25 touchdowns. Again, we've talked about this. He's in there not to screw up, not to try to do anything fancy, not to put up stats on the board. And so with Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, they'll have less than 10 total touchdowns. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I could that could be possible. I mean, you are right. I mean, with Bridgewater, he was probably one of the decisions, the reason why they made him the starter. Yeah, I could see that happening. I could see that happening, but
But how much do you hate it? Because
I
it's
don't
the
hate-
Broncos.
I
I'm
don't-
dissing on the Broncos.
No, you're not dissing on the Broncos. I don't
Yeah, I
hate
am.
it. I don't hate
Absolutely,
it.
I am.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't hate it, but I mean, again, it could surprise a lot of people, and maybe, but yeah, I could see that happening. As much as I don't want that, to happen, but it is a real possibility. So,
Anything you want to say, Miguel, or should we go on to the next one?
I think he's going to finish with over 20 touchdowns. So I have a hard time believing that they won't get to 10 between the two.
Okay. It's supposed to be bold, but that just shows my dismay for this Broncos offense. All right. I think we have time for one more each. Todd, you go ahead.
all right,
So make it good.
all right. Stephon Diggs will end up at the end of the season as the number 1 fantasy wide receiver over Devontae Adams.
It's semi-bold. based on what he did last year. And what he did last year is hard to repeat.
I mean, 1,500 yards.
Yeah, and Allen still doesn't have a running game.
Yeah.
So,
But he has a strong possibility of overtaking Devontae Adams as the number 1 overall wide receiver in fantasy. So
okay. What do you think, Mikey?
It's just hard because, like, Adams, the big thing is the difference is the touchdowns, and I don't know that Diggs is going to be able to be on that same level when it comes to touchdowns. Adams, targets and receptions, yards, sure, but touchdowns, that's a tough one.
Okay, Mikey, what do you got? One last one.
All right, here's my last one. I've got Trevor Lawrence as a top 10 quarterback.
Ooh. All right.
Oh man, there we go.
Got some good weapons over there, right?
He's got some decent weapons, but this is going to be a team that's down. They're going to have to throw the ball, and I just believe that as he goes, he's a guy that he's got the goods, man. He's going to get better and better every week. I think he's going to end up throwing for over 4,000 yards. So
let me ask you this. Is that because of volume, or because you said they're going to have to throw from behind, or is it because it's talented? Or because of talent, excuse me.
It's
both.
It's both. I think his interception numbers will be higher, but I think he's going to throw enough that he's going to be a guy that you're going to be like, wow, he's, getting that close to 50 points every game towards the end of the season, and he's going to end up in that top 10.
Oh.
Interesting. I like it. Upside for sure. Here's the last one from me. Here's a guy that we've talked about him much. I have this guy going for 70 receptions, 1,000 yards, and 8 touchdowns, and he's going way, way outside of the realm, I think, of most draft fantasy. As I'm going through, I should have typed this down earlier, so I'm stalling, trying to find him. But this guy on Fantasy Pros is going number 72 amongst wide receivers, and that's Bryan Edwards. Now, people are talking about Henry Ruggs, people are talking about Darren Waller, but they like to throw the ball. I think obviously they brought in another running back to try to maybe not have Derek Carr throw that much, but you got to throw it to someone. And I didn't like what I saw from Ruggs. And Edwards, 6'3", 212. I think if everything goes right, he stays healthy. I know he's been dealing with some injury stuff in the preseason, but when he's out there, he's been getting good reviews. So he's a guy who I think can put up decent numbers and be a top 30 guy. So if you're looking for a guy outside of the top 70, I guess, if you're at the very end of your draft, or if you're a Raiders fan like G, then maybe Bryan Edwards is a guy that could come out of nowhere to put some fantasy stats on the board. All right, gentlemen, we're at an hour and 3 minutes. Any last words before we head into the draft? Any talking you want to talk? Do you want any last thoughts about, I don't know, anything? What do you want to say?
Well,
wow, you're supposed to be like broadcasters. Let's go, guys.
I know, right?
Say something.
I know. Dead air. That was broadcast 101. Never dead air. That's bad. No, I'm ready. I'm ready for the draft. There's two players of my first pick that I'm kind of debating between the two. We'll see how the first 6 picks go. But other than that, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to, done all the rankings, and everything like that. So I'm ready to go.
Todd, I want you to do me a favor right now.
Yes.
Do you have a pen and paper handy? Go find a pen. Find a sheet of paper. Okay. This is what I want you to do. You said you have 2 names you think that are going to be there at your point, that you're thinking about, that you want, right?
Yes.
I want you to write those 2 names down, fold it up, and bring it to the draft.
Okay.
Because the draft never goes as expected. And the 2 guys that you may be fighting over your head about, you won't even care because there's a better guy that's going to drop to you. And I would just be curious. I want you to tell me what those names are. I want you to keep it folded. And then when you make your draft pick, then you pull out that sheet of paper, and we'll see if you're right or if I'm right, to see if the 2 guys you're just battling in your head back and forth, Doesn't even matter because a guy you like better is going to fall to you because our drafts, they crazy.
I know they're crazy.
we do these mock drafts and we look over the rankings and it just never goes the way we planned. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Mikey, any last thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'm just going to take this opportunity to read everybody in our league their last rites.
Mikey said he's in on this season. He's been talking about it since before baseball started.
It's been a long time. I haven't been very good the last couple of years. Party time's over. Don't laugh,
right.
Todd.
Mikey's
I'm back,
bringing
baby.
it.
I'm back, baby. I'm back.
Hey, I ain't scared. I'm not scared. I ain't scared. Come on now. I got 2 championships. I ain't scared. I ain't scared. This ain't the first rodeo.
Look,
For you.
drafting third humbles you a lot.
Sure does. Sounds like it. You're like, oh, I'm scared. You're drafting third, and you're and you're talking about reading everybody their last rites. So I'm all for it.
It's a different Mikey, and usually I would just say that's BS, but Mikey was COVID Mikey last year. It was a different year for Mikey last year. If it was a normal year, I'd be like, shut up, Mikey, you're full of it. But last year was a tough year for Miguel on the work side of things. And yeah, so I think he'll be ready to go this year. I'm excited for the draft. Yeah. Excited to see people in person again. And it should be fun. A lot of trash talking. Of course, Aaron's going to be there. And of course, that's where a lot of the trash comes from. So it should be a great time. Just excited to see everyone. So guys, thanks for coming on the show. Try to have this out in the next couple days, and then we'll be drafting on Sunday, and then the season will soon start after that. So for Mikey Renaud, Todd Diamond, I'm Eric Lansing. We'll see you at the draft, and we'll see you next time on the MHA podcast.